What's up? This is Truthloader here, and I'm going to be talking about the new Marvel Legends Across the Spider-Verse wave that just came out, was announced like a week ago. Actually, it was probably announced even way before that, maybe a month ago, a couple months ago, and now it's hitting stores apparently, which surprised me because it hasn't been that long since we've learned about it. But since the movie is about to come out, I guess they had it timed perfectly to get those get that merchandise out in the streets while the movie's coming out and the trailer's dropping. So you know, that's probably why. It's happened a couple times in the last few years. You just get movie waves to come out at the perfect time. But personally, out of the whole wave, looking at the whole wave, every figure I've seen, it's been kind of very much underwhelming. The designs, the articulation of a lot of these figures have been just overall meh. And it's harder to like these figures when you look at how much accessories they put in them. Now, I don't know the price point. I'm pretty sure the price point's the same. I think it's $24.99. I can check that right now actually just to make. Alright, I just found the price looking at MCU Collector's Instagram. It's about $24.99 each figure, so roughly $25 after taxes. It's gonna be roughly $26. For basically almost every figure with only hands, sometimes less than that. Like I'll just go briefly through these figures on what accessories they have. $29.91 one has a pair of hands, that's it. The Spider-Punk has one hand, not even a pair, just one hand, one extra hand, and a guitar. That may be the best one you get right there. The Spot, no, actually the Spot has probably the most accessories. He has a pair of hands, and then he has a little portal, two portals that have, you know, Miles going through it. I think it would have been better off just having normal portals. You can kind of mix and match with that a bit more, be a bit more creative with not just Miles but other characters. But it is what it is. It's cool though. Yeah, I feel like they could have added maybe a bit more. Oh, that's cool. Oh. Where else? Let me go further down. Peter B. Parker, he has a pair of hands. Gwen has an extra head and a pair of hands. Miles, probably the premier figure of this wave, maybe right next to $20.99, has a pair of hands and an extra head sculpt. Though that head sculpt is really nice, looks really dope. And then you have Jessica Drew, who apparently, I just saw the trailer, just like the rest of y'all. I saw it today. Well, I saw it like in the morning. I think she's pregnant. If she's not, then I'm gonna sound very much like an asshole. But I think she is, which is neat. That being said, this whole wave does not. It has the same standard problem like the other waves. Except the improvement is there isn't one figure in this wave that comes with nothing this time. Each figure, I'm sorry, has accessories. Just bare none. Again, for the price point that these figures are going for, and these are, you can't even use the excuse they're trying to get funded for future figures to put more accessories in. No, that doesn't even work because these are all new molds. All these figures generally don't have much of anything coming in them, and it's just kind of disappointing. You will like to see more, especially for Spider-Man characters. You need to see thwip hands, wall crawling hands, and it's not necessarily wall crawling hands. Like for $29.99, he uses his claws to climb walls. Claw hands, you know, it's just what you expect to see in a Spider-Man based figure. And they're all Spider-Man except one or two. You know, it's disappointing. It's very disappointing. I got nothing else to say about that. That's that one reason alone. And the fact that some of the articulation on these figures are kind of outdated. You think they would have used a more sorry, let me remember. You think they would have used more diaphragm joints in the chest region and in the waist region to add more articulation in these figures? If not that, they necessarily would have done the same thing they did with the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man or the first appearance Spider-Man and added a torso ab crunch, and then again another oh my god, diaphragm joint at the same time to get the articulation for at least one of these Spider-Mans, but they didn't. They went the more old-fashioned way, which I don't quite agree with. Imagine they did that with 2099 Spider-Man. It's already a solid looking figure. That would have made a godly figure. Same thing applying for the Miles Morales figure. They did that actually for they put a diaphragm joint or whatever in the waist of that original Into the Spider-Verse Miles figure, and then they make this newer one and they don't do it. You know, it's a weird choice. It's a weird, they just took a step back. So one of the lack of accessories and just one of the, you know, the outdated articulation I was hoping for, not one of them is more up to date. You know, I would have liked to see that. But that's enough with the negative. For me personally, I probably won't pick up this wave at all. I may pick up one figure from this wave, and that's going to be the 2099 Spider-Man, and even then I may just skip that one too. The positives of this wave: almost every figure in this wave is a new mold except one, and that one is the Peter B. Parker Spider-Man. But I'm not even mad at that, because one, he doesn't have that coat that pretty much destroyed his articulation on the last time this figure was released. He doesn't have it, so you can probably get this guy into any pose you want. I would go as far as say this may be one of the better articulated figures, at least when it comes to naturally how they won't, you know, the cuts of the figure won't be interrupting how it looks like the other ones. This may be fun to pose around with. I know I'm defending it. I'll get into the other issue of this figure in a minute, but I can tell it's going to be really fun to pose around just because it doesn't have that coat anymore. And the articulation looks good. Has the that diaphragm joint in the torso and waist. So that's real nice. Only problem, again, it's accessory. I'm not going to talk about accessories. Is the fact that he comes with pants. This was a great chance to give us a full suited up Spider-Man. Like, this is one of the best Spider-Man designs ever, in my opinion, and it was just a missed opportunity. Now, I've so far, again, from the trailer, not once did you see this version of Spider-Man without some sort of other extra piece of clothing. Not once. He was pretty much always dressed up with a coat or some pants. So maybe this is the most you'll see of him looking like Spider-Man in the movie, actually. And if that's the case, then I can't fault them for being accurate. That's movie accuracy right there. Even though a lot of times they don't even, Marvel Legends, Hasbro's have definitely not always been movie accurate. But the one time they do it is, we don't actually want the movie accuracy. You know, it's interesting. It comes off kind of like they could have done two. They may give us a second version. Who knows? You may get a second Across the Spider-Verse wave. So I'm not really stressing about it. You may be better off waiting until they do that. If not, you want to pick it up, go ahead. This is one I kind of also am interested in, just because it's, in my opinion, it's an improvement upon the last one. But I'll probably still skip on it. That I would say maybe that is the best, maybe second best figure in this wave though. The 2099 Spider-Man looks good. I love the sculpt of it. I love the mold of it. It looks good. It looks like what he looks like in the movie. I just don't get why they did a waist swivel instead of doing just putting a ball joint in the waist instead. They did a waist swivel. I thought that was strange. I thought we've moved past that, but again, you know, they did this with Miles too. They did, you know, an ab crunch instead of a diaphragm joint. They did multiple things that they shouldn't have done with Spider-Man at this point. That kind of just bummed me out. But you know, it is what it is. The Spot looks cool. Again, he looks movie accurate for the most part. He looks like what he does in the trailer. So I can't. Is it a not a attractive design? For sure. But it's accurate, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, like almost every figure is a new mold. The Spider-Gwen, or Ghost Spider, you want to call her, is basically the same figure, but her design didn't change in this movie for the most part. She's wearing different shoes. Instead of wearing slippers, she's wearing some Converses, and she has some double jointed elbows, which in the first movie, the figure the Spider-Gwen did not have double jointed elbows. They were single jointed elbows. So already this figure, in my opinion, is an improvement. Only thing I don't quite like about the Spider-Gwen figure is her face. The face sculpt, in my opinion, is not as good as the first one. I don't know why, but it's just a little off to me. It's just not as quite as... It doesn't look like her in the movie, in my opinion. But those are the positives of that. But they every positive they did, they would take a step back, 2 steps back. And this is kind of how this wave ended up to be. Just a wave that proves that Hasbro refused to do consistent improvement in every wave. They'll do one wave with a lot of improvement, with a lot of new technology, engineering, and figures, and then the next 2 waves they won't do it. Like it's too much, you know. I don't know. I'm definitely skipping out on this wave. The movie though is looking fire, so that's cool. You maybe I was one to always go more so for the Marvel Legends since they're cheaper, but honestly, this is maybe the one time where I may just prefer the SH Figuarts, even if it is much more expensive. It's just I don't feel like being disappointed looking at the figures, you know. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed my commentary on this wave and my thoughts, go ahead and like and subscribe. But that's it. So yeah.